Imagine, if you will, a time of grandeur, a time when rulers were not just leaders but were considered gods on earth. A time when the line between the divine and the mortal was blurred, where the throne was more than just a seat of power, it was a link to the heavens. This was the world of the ancient Egyptians, a civilization that has left us awestruck with its architectural marvels, its complex mythology, and its intriguing rulers. In this world, the pharaohs, the rulers of ancient Egypt, were not just political leaders. They were considered divine, a human embodiment of the gods they worshipped. They held absolute power, their word was law, and their actions shaped the course of history. This was a time when the throne was not just a symbol of power, but a direct link to the gods. The concept of divine kingship was not unique to Egypt. It was a common thread running through many ancient civilizations. However, it was in Egypt that this belief was taken to unparalleled heights. The pharaohs were not just considered representatives of the gods, they were gods themselves on earth. Historians and ancient documents support this narrative. The pyramid texts, one of the oldest religious texts in the world, repeatedly emphasize the divine status of the pharaohs. Renowned Egyptologist Dr. Jan Assmann, in his seminal work The Mind of Egypt, delves deep into this belief system, highlighting the interplay between religion and politics in ancient Egypt. Yet in this pantheon of divine rulers, one stands out. A woman who dared to break the mold, who defied conventions, and who proved that a queen could rule as effectively as any king. This woman was not just a queen, she was a pharaoh, a god on earth. She was a woman who wielded power with grace, wisdom, and foresight, steering her kingdom through times of peace and prosperity. Her name? Hatshepsut. In these times, one rule stood out. A woman who was not just a queen, but a pharaoh. Her name? Hatshepsut. Hatshepsut, a name that means foremost of noble women, a woman who ruled not as a queen, but as a pharaoh. Let's wind the clock back to the 18th dynasty of Egypt, around 1479 BC, when Hatshepsut ascended to the throne. Initially, she served as queen to her half-brother, Thutmose II, but when he passed away, Hatshepsut didn't just fade into the background. She stepped forward, took the reins, and declared herself pharaoh. Now imagine the audacity, the sheer tenacity of it all. In a world dominated by men, Hatshepsut broke the mold and the glass ceiling, becoming one of the few female pharaohs of ancient Egypt. But how did she manage such a feat? Was it through force or cunning? Actually, neither. Hatshepsut used something far stronger: legitimacy. She claimed her right to rule from the gods themselves. Ancient inscriptions show her declaring that the god Amun had chosen her as his representative on earth, and the people believed her. During her reign, Hatshepsut wasn't content with just maintaining the status quo. She was a visionary, a woman ahead of her time. She initiated building projects, trade expeditions, and even had her image carved into temple walls. Not as a queen, but as a pharaoh, complete with the traditional false beard. But this wasn't without its challenges. Hatshepsut's rule was a disruption to the traditional norms of kingship. It was a time of change, a time of questioning and redefining what it meant to be a pharaoh. It was a time when the very pillars of societal norms were shaken. Yet, despite the resistance, Hatshepsut held firm. She was a beacon of resilience, a testament to the power of legitimacy and the strength of conviction. Hatshepsut's reign was a time of peace and prosperity, but it was also a time of change, a change that would challenge the traditional norms of kingship. A woman in power, in a time when men were seen as gods. This was a challenge to the established norms of kingship. Our story continues with Hatshepsut, now a reigning pharaoh. Not just a woman, but a woman ruling in a time when men were seen as gods. This was no small feat. She faced opposition, of course, challenges that would have crumbled the spirit of the weak. But Hatshepsut was not weak. She was a force to be reckoned with. She was met with resistance from the traditionalists, those who believed in the rigid hierarchy of male pharaohs. But Hatshepsut was a woman of conviction. She held steadfast in her beliefs and stood her ground. When faced with adversity, she did not falter. She did not waver. She was resolute in her mission to rule Egypt, and rule it she did. Her reign was not just about overcoming obstacles, it was also about innovation and progress. Ancient records tell us that under her rule, Egypt saw advancements in architecture, trade, and diplomacy. The Temple of Deir el-Bahri, a marvel of ancient architecture, was built during her reign. Hatshepsut also re-established trade routes that had been disrupted during the Hyksos invasion, bringing prosperity to Egypt. Her reign was marked by peace and prosperity. She was a beacon of hope in a time of uncertainty. Her rule set a precedent, challenging the status quo and paving the way for future female rulers. Historians have marveled at her ability to govern with wisdom and grace. They've lauded her strength and determination. They've admired her resilience in the face of adversity. They've recognized her as a true leader, a pharaoh in every sense of the word. Hatshepsut, a woman, a queen, a pharaoh. Her reign was a testament to her strength and determination. In a world dominated by men, Hatshepsut dared to defy the norms. She dared to challenge the status quo. She dared to be different. And in doing so, she left a legacy that continues to inspire us today. She proved that a woman could rule, and rule well, that a woman, just like a man, could be a god. Hatshepsut's reign ended, but her legacy lived on, a legacy that would forever change the concept of kingship. Hatshepsut, the woman who dared to be pharaoh, left behind a legacy that was both profound and revolutionary. In the annals of history, her reign was a significant turning point. It was a time when the rule of a woman was not just accepted but embraced, setting a precedent for future generations. The hieroglyphs etched in stone speak volumes of her rule, a rule that was marked by prosperity, peace, and progress. Hatshepsut's reign influenced the perception of women in power, challenging the traditional norms of a male-dominated society. Her strong, assertive leadership, coupled with her strategic acumen, made her one of the most effective rulers of her time. She was a testament to the fact that leadership is not a matter of gender, but of capability and competence. Historians in their chronicles have often cited Hatshepsut as a ruler who was ahead of her time. Renowned historian James Henry Breasted once remarked, "Hatshepsut was the first great woman in history of whom we are informed." Her reign, though marred by controversy and conflict, was a beacon of change, a change that was much needed in a society steeped in patriarchy. Hatshepsut's influence extended beyond her reign. Future rulers, taking a leaf out of her book, began to recognize the potential of women in positions of power. They realized that a woman, just like a man, could lead, could rule, and could make a difference. This change in perception was Hatshepsut's true legacy, a legacy that resonates even today. Her reign, though short, left an indelible mark on the sands of time. She was not just a ruler, but a pioneer, a visionary who dared to challenge the status quo. Her story, her legacy, serves as an inspiration, a reminder that leadership is not a privilege of the few, but a right of the many. Hatshepsut, the queen of the throne, left an indelible mark on history, a mark that challenges us to rethink our understanding of power and leadership. The story of Hatshepsut is a testament to the power of determination and courage. As we delve into the reflections of her reign, let's remember that her journey was not just about ruling an empire, but about challenging the status quo and breaking down barriers. Hatshepsut, a woman in a world dominated by men, ascended to the throne and ruled with wisdom and strength. She didn't merely survive, she thrived, leaving an indelible mark on history. Her reign was one of great prosperity, marked by monumental architectural achievements, extensive trade expeditions, and an era of peace. Yet her greatest achievement was perhaps her audacity to seize the throne and rule as a pharaoh, shattering centuries-old gender norms. In the words of the renowned historian Henry Louis Gates Jr., history is not just about the past, it's about understanding our present through the lens of the past. Hatshepsut's story, then, becomes a mirror for our own times, reflecting issues of gender equality and leadership that are still relevant today. In the world of politics and leadership, women continue to face barriers. Yet, like Hatshepsut, many have risen, challenging stereotypes and paving the way for future generations. Angela Merkel, the first woman Chancellor of Germany, once said, "When it comes to human dignity, we cannot make compromises." Hatshepsut too refused to compromise on her dignity and right to rule. In the realm of thought and philosophy, the echoes of Hatshepsut's reign are heard. As the philosopher Hannah Arendt put it, "Power, when not backed by violence, is the ability to make others agree with your perspective." Hatshepsut used her power wisely, not through force, but through her actions and decisions. winning the respect and loyalty of her subjects. In reflecting on Hatshepsut's reign, we realize that her story is not just about a queen or a pharaoh. It's about the human spirit, about challenging norms, about courage and determination. It's about leadership that transcends gender and time. Hatshepsut's legacy lives on, a reminder that leadership is not about gender, but about strength, courage, and the will to make a difference.